Picture this. We're living in a time like no other. A time where all the world's currencies are fiat currencies simultaneously. It's uncharted territory, my friend. This is the biggest monetary experiment in history, and we're all part of it. Now, let's talk about precious metals. Gold is shining bright and nearing its all-time high. But did you know that silver is lagging behind by a whopping 60%? However, don't count silver out just yet. In 2020 alone, over 320 million ounces of silver were bought into ETFs, making it the largest amount ever purchased in a single year. And that's not all on the retail side. Over 200 million ounces of silver were sold for investment purposes. That's a staggering 500 million ounces of silver for investment purposes in just 1 year. So what does this mean for the future of silver? Well, some experts predict that we're about to witness a major gold run that will spill over into silver, causing it to outperform gold. Are you ready to invest in silver and potentially reap the rewards of this historic moment? Keep an eye on this space. It's going to be an exciting ride. Listen up, folks. Time is the ultimate truth teller, and it'll decide if I'm right about what I'm going to say. The people who know what's going on aren't going to sit idly by while their hard-earned money turns into nothing during this fiat currency mess. They're going to jump into the bullion market and take matters into their own hands. Now, let's talk about institutional investors. They hold a lot of power, and I believe they'll play a significant role in this. I predict that the COMEX and other entities will cater to their needs. But I also believe that the COMEX may be headed for a default. In fact, I think it's essential to keep an eye on this situation. Within a few months, the COMEX had to quadruple their gold stocks, and everyone was left scratching their heads. What does this mean for the future of gold and silver? Only time will tell, my friends. Are you ready for a financial bombshell? Brace yourselves, folks. The COMEX is nothing but a fractional reserve scheme where there's a ton more paper ounces of gold and silver being traded than actual physical metal to back it up. Yikes. And get this, the registered and eligible categories they use to calculate their reserves might not be as reliable as they once thought. There could be bars that qualify for inclusion in delivery, but their owners may not want to part with them at the current price. So what does this mean for gold? Well, in just a couple of months, a staggering $55 billion worth of gold was exchanged through the COMEX. And to make matters more interesting, someone has taken delivery of about 12 million ounces, which exceeds the 91 million ounces that were on the exchange before the inflows. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Keep your eyes peeled, and let's see what happens next. Have you ever wondered about the secret world of central bank accumulation and gold imports? It's a murky world, but one that is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The Hong Kong and Shanghai exchanges have reported a net inflow into China every month for years, until suddenly they stopped during the time that the US was importing. How does that happen? Is there someone powerful enough to get China to stop importing gold for a few months while the US gets enough gold to avoid a financial disaster? It's a conspiracy theory that's been circulating for years, but is there any truth to it? Well, we can't say for sure, but it's certainly entertaining to speculate. And with the looming shift in finance and monetary history, it's more important than ever to understand the intricacies of the monetary system. Fiat currencies have a 100% failure rate, and we're on the cusp of one of the biggest shifts in history. So, it's time to do your research and prepare for what's to come. Picture this. It's August 15, 1971. President Nixon has just severed the tie between the US dollar and gold, marking a pivotal moment in monetary history. Suddenly, the US dollar becomes a completely different currency, and all the other world currencies that were backed by the dollar become unbacked. It's a grand experiment, one that has never been done before, where all the world's currencies become fiat currencies simultaneously. We're in uncharted territory, folks. This is a monetary experiment on a scale never before seen, and it's a little unnerving to think about. In the past, every time this kind of experiment was conducted, the currency eventually failed, and people rushed to other currencies or to gold. But now, there's no other currency to run to. We're in the midst of a brave new world, and it's more important than ever to understand what's happening and prepare for what's to come. Have you ever wondered about the real difference between money and currency? Well, according to expert Mike Maloney, it's time to start using the proper definitions. He's even gone to war over it. Maloney argues that very few of his colleagues in the industry differentiate between currency and money, and that it's crucial for us to do so. In fact, he quotes Confucius to emphasize his point. All knowledge begins with calling things by their proper names. Why is it so important to distinguish between currency and money? Well, Maloney explains that if we want to have truth and understanding in our financial system, we need to call things by their proper names. And by referring to the US dollar as money, we're giving it accolades that it doesn't deserve. At the end of the day, there are only two things that truly hold value: gold and silver. So, it's time to learn the difference between currency and money, and use the proper definitions to navigate our monetary system. Have you ever stopped to think about the true value of the currency you use every day? Most people don't realize that their dollars are not actually money, but rather fiat currency. And what's the difference, you may ask? Well, money holds value over time, while fiat currency constantly steals value from you every day. Think about it, every time the Federal Reserve creates new currency, whoever gets it first gets full purchasing power. But as it circulates, prices rise because the dollar is being devalued. It's like a hidden tax that we're all paying without even realizing it. That's why it's crucial to understand the difference between currency and money. As Confucius once said, all knowledge begins with calling things by their proper names. And calling the US dollar money is simply giving it undeserved accolades. Don't let the value of your hard-earned money slip away. Educate yourself and take action to protect your wealth for the long term.